the Army Combat Fitness Test.
When I hear the letters ACFT, two things pop in my head. 4:30 a.m. and 600. Why? Well, 4:30 a.m. refers to the time that I have to wake up before each ACFT I complete because I have to be in our fitness center, the Hack, by 5:20 a.m. Second is 600, which if you clicked on this video, I'm guessing you know, but the ACFT is out of 600 points. And that is the goal I have set myself to get by the end of this year. But regardless of whatever is going on in here, in this video I'll be revealing my ACFT scores and providing some tips as someone who scores 90 plus points in each event. Here you see the ACFT's 6 events consist of the deadlift, standing power throw, hand release push-ups, sprint drag carry, plank, and 2-mile run, completed in that order. For each you can score a maximum of 100 points, with the minimum passing score being 60. And the scores are age and gender adjusted. As you can see on this trusty ACFT calculator, I scored a 585 on the ACFT I took 2 weeks ago, which was a personal PR, so I was ecstatic. But I didn't PR in each individual event. So as you can see here, I ended up maxing the deadlift for 3 reps at 340, ended up getting 11.3 meters on the standing power throw, 47 reps for the hand release push-ups, that was brutal. I maxed the sprint drag carry, maxed the plank, and then scored a 13-minute 56-second 2-mile, which was the first time I haven't maxed that event, but it's because I slipped and fell in some ice, cut myself, but still finished. So that is my 585 PR. What I was most excited about with my ACFT result was the 340-pound deadlift, because I'd been training for that for the past 6 months, not really getting much progress above 300 pounds until finally this video where I was at my local gym and finally was able to deadlift that max, but with lifting gloves. And so I finally was able to replicate that without lifting gloves in the gym for the ACFT. So I was extremely happy with that result. But as they say, 600s are not born overnight. So I want to walk through some of my previous ACFT scores to show where I started and how much improvement can happen over about 2 years I've been in the RTC program. So on my first ACFT, I scored a 552, and that was back when the ACFT was first being semi-green lit. It wasn't being recorded, but we were starting to implement it locally, where there was the leg tuck instead of the plank. All the other events were the same, but we did a leg tuck at that time. Subsequently, I scored a 543 points, so that was the overall lowest score I've ever done on the ACFT. I believe I was sick with a cold on that day, so it might have affected my performance. But then afterwards, I scored a 556, so I was extremely happy with that new PR, and that was when they first replaced the leg tuck with the plank. So I've maxed the plank, so that was really beneficial for me. Then I jumped to 576 last fall, still not being able to max that deadlift, but I ended up maxing the standing power throw and the 2-mile run. And then now I scored a 585, not maxing the standing power throw or 2-mile run, but I ended up maxing the deadlift and improving my push-ups by a few reps. So that is where I'm at there. If you just have a fascination with ACFT scores, then feel free to click off this video now because I've revealed mine. But if you want to know tips to improve your score, or if you're new to the ACFT and want tips on how you should perform, then stay tuned. First, I must point out the Army Triad. That consists of sleep, nutrition, and exercise. I'll be focusing on the first two, sleep and nutrition. You will not perform at your highest caliber unless you are well rested. So you need a good night's rest before the ACFT, which as a college student I know can be difficult. I think I functioned on 5 hours of sleep before the last ACFT and somehow still did decent. So I'm putting that out there. Second, nutrition. I know that for me personally, I've learned through years of cross country and track what I can and cannot eat before doing a physical exertion, specifically running, where you can upset your stomach if you eat too much or too little, how much hydration you need beforehand, which should be up to 2 days before, start hydrating yourself. But I personally prefer Fiber One bars, which I'll get right here. Bam, Fiber One bar. I eat either half or the entire bar before the ACFT, about an hour before we start competing. So when I wake up at about 4:30, start competing about 5:30, so I try to eat it right when I wake up, and definitely drink water with it. But this gives me the quick source of glucose I need to have that little boost of energy in the morning. So I highly suggest getting at least something into your system early on to really just kickstart that. Some people, protein powder, energy drinks, I can't really support them or not, but there are many ways nutritionally to hopefully set yourself up for success when you take the ACFT. So on to event-specific advice. Starting out with the deadlift, I highly suggest wearing some Army-issued leather gloves because we use a hex bar to deadlift, and the diameter of it is often wide enough where unless you're really tall or have large hands, you cannot actually get a complete grip around the bar. So for me and many of my peers, we've had more of a difficulty actually getting the grip strength or grip ability to lift the bar rather than the weight itself. So you are able to wear the Army gloves, and I'll throw up a picture of the ones I actually prefer using. They're nicer quality than the ones we're issued right here. But definitely wear gloves when you complete the deadlift. It'll definitely help your score, and that's how I maxed it this last time. Also, you just need to be incorporating deadlifting into your normal exercise regimen. How are you going to improve if you don't practice? The standing power throw is all timing, speed, and hip movement. If this were the ball, then when I throw it, I'm going to be lunging my hips forward while I give it a jump and having a high release point to help the arc end up being better, because one of the biggest issues that my peers end up having is they'll hold on too long and they'll release it and it will drop really short, and we really don't want to see 6-meter throws. So it's, again, something you just have to practice. We do kettlebell exercises, American kettlebells all the way up, and then Russian kettlebells halfway, to work on getting our actual timing correct and to have our hips engaged so that you can throw it farther behind you. You'll have a line that you can't cross when you throw, but there's no rules against jumping when you throw. So I personally incorporate a jump into my throw, so I give myself a little extra space on this side of the line so that when I jump back a little, I'm still not crossed. So that's my advice for the standing power throw. The hand release push-ups is the hardest event for me since it's the only one I haven't maxed, and it's a weird combination of biceps, triceps, deltoids, even lats even, when you're going in and out. And so I highly suggest going faster at the beginning of the 2 minutes, which you'll see me doing here, rather than trying to pace yourself, because I find it still more fatiguing when you start out slow, thinking you'll have enough time for the 2 minutes, and then you won't get as many reps as the other hand. So I've experimented a little with that. I end up getting more reps when I start out just fast. And if that also works for you, I'd love to hear in the comments. If you're someone who likes to go slow and is able to do more that way, let me know. That'd be cool to see. But that's all I can really suggest for the hand release push-ups, as well as just doing lots of tricep, bicep, and deltoid exercises. The sprint track carry is painful, but you have to remember, keep breathing throughout the workout and just keep pushing. Time is your biggest enemy on this event. And for this, you're going to, sprint up and down. You're going to then drag the sled back and forth. You're then going to do laterals, like shuffle steps. You're going to pick up kettlebells, go down and back. And then one last time, you're going to sprint down and back to try to get that in under, I think, 1 minute and 27 seconds, or 1 minute 29 seconds is my max time. But this one is just painful for your legs and for your chest. You want to just stop moving afterwards, but you just have to keep that internal clock in your head to keep going, because it's just perseverance. And that is the best advice I can give for that event. Now on to my favorite and inarguably the easiest exercise, the plank, because you don't have to do anything except hold yourself up, you know? So if you're not doing anything, it's not hard, right? But 3 minutes and 40 seconds is my max time where you just hold a plank. And so really find out, where do you struggle on a plank? Is it your core? Is it your shoulders? For me, it's my shoulders. Usually I start shaking on the floor. You can't interlock your hands for the ACFT, so you have to keep your fists together. Highly suggest keeping them together and pushing against each other to help stabilize you. The other thing is to breathe slowly. I see a lot of cadets just start out holding their breath like that, trying to keep their core engaged, but then your muscles are going to fatigue quicker because they're not getting the oxygen to be rejuvenated with that. So you're going to have to keep breathing slowly. Slow down your body and make the time go faster. And then in that moment, squeeze your core, squeeze your glutes. Those two are going to stabilize your body to keep linear, because some ACFT proctors are going to grade a lot harsher on whether you're sagging or bending. So squeezing your body is going to help engage. Also your toes, watch where you feel your toes are most comfortable. I tend to actually shift from being kind of pointed out to pointing in on my toes to kind of relieve my core and lower back during the plank. So note where you can have your toes angled in your shoes. Lastly, the 2-mile run, which I believe you have 15 or 20 minutes of break after the other 5 events before you have to start the 2-mile run. But this one is as much mentally exhausting as physically, because now you are at a place where your legs are tired from the sprint drag carry and deadlift. Your arms are tired from the T push-ups. Your entire chest is sore from the sprint drag carry. It pressures your chest for some weird reason. But you have your entire body just wanting to stop. You're getting that break period, and then you have to do a 2-mile run. So during this time, I highly say keep mobile in between, drink little sips of water. Don't start chugging, drink little sips of water, and keep stretching out your legs. Because the hardest thing for me is often my shins get tired and sore after like the sprint drag carry and other events there, or my arms will kind of give up, and I often have to keep my arms swinging pretty quickly in order to keep my pace timing correctly. And so for me, the max is I think a 13:22, so I end up going about a 6-minute first mile and a under 7-minute second mile to try and max it. I find the best advantage is when you start out at a faster pace rather than trying to split the difference with like 2 6:45s. Because you will naturally have to slow down during your second mile. So definitely set yourself up for a pace about a minute faster than what you expect to do in your second mile to really get yourself in that habit. So when you're slowing down, you have already factored in that leeway to still be able to max the event. And again, it's as much mental as it is physical. Keep breathing, keep moving your arms, keep your eyes focused ahead, and if you have someone of comparable time with you, stick with them. If there's one thing I've learned from cross country is that running alone, you're going to do a lot worse than when someone is right next to you, pushing you each second, because you don't want to lose to them. So I highly suggest finding yourself that running buddy, keep breathing properly, keep your muscles and everything loose before that run, and get in that mental place to do your best. If you've taken the ACFT, I would love to hear your score and personal tips in the comments below. And if you haven't, I'm wishing you the best on your practicing and your execution of the ACFT. And you want to know what the best motivation is to do your best on the ACFT? Imagine you're competing next to a Marine. That's all the motivation you need. So, ad meliora, toward better things.